Thanks for being here, Adel. Tell me a little bit about yourself and your journey to where you are today.
Thank you very much for having me, Reza. My family immigrated to Canada in 1986. They came here looking for opportunities for their children, education, healthcare, opportunities for us to grow. And some of the values that I was raised up on were hard work, commitment to the community. With that inspiration from my family teaching me these values, I graduated from Centennial in Coquitlam, went on to take some courses at Douglas College, met the love of my life at the University of Calgary. We moved overseas where I had the opportunity to work for the United Nations as education specialist for UNESCO. Did my graduate studies at Harvard's Kennedy School of Government, where I wanted to focus on building leadership capacity in people, being able to be better collaborators and make progress on complex challenges. So I had the privilege to teach leadership there before deciding to come home to Coquitlam, where currently now I'm an adjunct professor at UBC Sauder Executive Education, while also I'm a co-founder of a boutique consultancy called GMR Leadership Group.
Can you tell us about the Gamar Foundation and what inspired you to start it?
You know, Mo, I love the fact that you included in your question the word inspire. What inspired my wife and I to co-found GMR Foundation? Young people have always been a source of inspiration for us. The word inspiration means to breathe life into someone. Young people have had the power to breathe life into us throughout history. And as you've seen through history, young people have been catalysts of change.
Yeah.
What we're noticing now when we founded GMR Foundation is that young people just needed to learn more of leadership skills, to have grown-ups take them seriously, to look them in the eye and ask, what are your passions, what are your drives? How can we help you make a difference in your local communities? Which is why we established the foundation.
As an immigrant, you came to Canada and you've seen 3 generations, your father, yourself, and your 5 daughters. What skills are the most important for immigrants to be successful?
Every immigrant that comes to Canada, I believe, has an extraordinary story. They've come here with hopes, dreams, eyes wide open. A lot of inspiration and certainly a lot of sacrifice. I don't think that any immigrant has ever come to Canada having not sacrificed something, whether it means community that they left behind, property, history and stories. And so that fire that every immigrant has when they come to Canada, that fire of passion to want to contribute, is, I think, one of the most critical skills in not only establishing a business, but also forging a family and finding a sense of belonging in this wonderful and extraordinary country. Not losing hope at the same time. Hope to me is an extraordinary word, which means it's not giving up, recognizing that change is possible and that you have every capability to make that change happen. But as any immigrant, and of course, as you mentioned, I did come here as a young man. My family sacrificed so much, like every immigrant that comes to Canada. But we had hopes and dreams to be able to contribute. We weren't just looking for handouts. We wanted to work hard because that's what it took for us to come to Canada, to continue working hard. But forging a sense of community is quite important. Mm-hmm. And I'm hearing from businesses, small or medium, that it is very hard to make it in Canada when you don't have a sense of community, particularly a business community that is there to support them, whether it means administratively or even just mentoring and coaching. Which is why, I really appreciate Sonova and what you're doing here in the community, because you're facilitating an environment for business leaders to come together wherever they come from originally, they've settled into Canada, and to help them establish their businesses, but also have a sense of belonging.
You've had a diverse career from consulting to teaching and even politics. Why did leadership matter so much to you?
What a great question, Reza. Leadership to me is an exercise of bringing a group of people together to make some progress on a complex challenge. I have never really seen leadership as a position of a person, that only a single person can actually make progress on challenges. The bigger the challenges, the more important it is for us to build capacity in people so that they can come together, collaborate, support each other, all in the interest of making some progress on complex challenges. And anytime I've seen challenges in the world, I always wondered, who are the people that we need to be bringing together? What are the conversations that we need to be having? As opposed to waiting for who's the one who's going to emerge and solve these complex challenges. It rarely happens that a person can do it all. which is the framework that I have when I look at building leadership skills, is how do we bring communities together to make some progress on complex challenges? And that has informed certainly my consulting role when clients reach out to ask us to help them make progress on these challenges, but also in my teaching, which is building leadership capacity in others to be able to collaborate, to listen better, and hopefully make some progress on complex challenges.
In your experience, what makes a good leader in business?
Such a good question. 2 ingredients. I think the first one is an inspiration, a passion. And that involves having a vision. What is it that you want to establish, whether it's a service that you're going to be providing or a product that you're creating or making? So an overarching vision. The second, and I think even more critical, is to ask for help and support. Many of us are under the assumption that if you're going to establish your own business, you've got to be able to figure it out on your own. The beautiful thing about Canada is that there are a lot of resources, and as I mentioned earlier, is around the Chamber of Commerce, support like what you're all creating here through the forum and the conference that you're hosting, is bring people together so that they can learn from each other. You don't have to do this alone. A lot of people have struggled in the past. What are the steps that we're able to take in order for us to learn, along with maintaining that vision and that drive of why you want to establish your business?
Do you think immigrants bring a unique perspective to leadership roles in business?
When an immigrant comes to Canada, they bring in a lot of dreams and hopes and aspirations. And if you've opened up a business, you know that those are critical ingredients to a successful business. That passion, that drive, that dream that I can actually contribute and make a difference, which I think is a critical ingredient whenever you want to have a successful business.
Perfect. Adel, what are some existing support for small businesses in Canada?
To establish a small business, regardless of where you are, it takes a lot of courage and a lot of hard work, but it also becomes a lot harder if you're doing it alone. Some of the existing supports that I see here are the Chambers of Commerce, whether you look at the Vancouver Board of Trade or in the Tri-Cities where I'm from, there's the Tri-City Chamber of Commerce. These are mechanisms and groups of people that are there to advocate for small businesses, to inform them of government policies that might impact their small business. But also, as I mentioned earlier, they are a platform that convenes people and brings small businesses together, which is, I think, a critical service, particularly as we look at the current context. Potential, or actually not even a potential, there will be 25% tariffs on Canadian products imposed by the President of the United States. These are now challenges that small businesses are experiencing that puts more weight and more emphasis on the importance of convening and bringing people together to help inform them of policies, but also, frankly, to hear what are their concerns and how are they going to be impacted by these government policies.
Given the 25% tariff and the conflict between the US and Canada, do you think that is the leadership problem?
Absolutely. With my perspective when it comes to leadership, as I mentioned earlier, is the opportunity to bring people together to help make some progress on complex challenges. Anything that is opposite of that, meaning when you're separating people, marginalizing people, scapegoating people, that is not a demonstration of leadership. It's the exact opposite. If we were to say leadership is indeed bringing people together, the closer that we're coming together, whether it be for commercial gains or even cultural exchange, you watch some of the hockey games here in Canada when it comes to the American national anthem. Our very own Canadian fans are booing during the national anthem. That is a symptom of a problem. We're not coming together. Sports is intended to bring us together, to support each other, to cheer, whether for whatever team. But when it comes to the national anthem, usually we are there standing united, singing each other's national anthems. And so these are demonstrations of the absence of leadership.